And we're back for round 8, the final round of the championship division of the 2019 School Scrabble Championship. Whoever wins this round is going to move on to the final. So when I say the final, this is the last round of normal competition. And we've got the top 2 teams, the only undefeated teams left in the tournament in any division, are going up against each other. We've seen one of them before, that's the Scrabble All-Stars, and we've got another team making their featured table debut, of course, and that is the Dyslexic Manic Shop. We'll find out more about them as the game progresses. I've got Will on my right, I've got Josh on my left, and there you go.
Going on.
So you remember Cherish and Angela on our right. They are the Scrabble All-Stars. 2 girls originally from Nigeria came to the U.S. and, oh, look at this. So one of them draws 3, and then the other draws 3. Who draws the 4? And then the last one she got. Okay. So teamwork there. That's Thomas with the bag in his hand now and Archit to his right. They are former neighbors. They now live in different states. And, of course, the classic Scrabble word. You can basically tell if somebody's a seasoned Scrabble player if they play this. How do you pronounce that
How
word?
do you see that word
Quim.
so fast?
I say Quim.
These guys' minds are
Crack the dictionary on that one, Kevin.
That's one of those, it's a basin, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that doesn't have, in the Scrabble Player's Dictionary, again, there are no pronunciations because it doesn't matter in terms of the context of the game. The definitions really don't matter either, but those are thrown in.
It's a cirque. It's a cirque, which is like a crevice, I think.
I thought it was like a wash basin, but maybe it's the same.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sort of
I believe it's Welsh, which is why, and again,
Yeah, it's just cool.
I could be completely wrong, but in Welsh, the W sort of serves as a vowel, and that's why it's okay.
Yeah, there's also Cruth, C-R-W-T-H, which is an ancient instrument, probably
Strange.
Welsh as well. Now, you said whoever wins this game, Kevin, is locked into the championship, but if they tie, just like we saw in last game,
that couldn't happen.
they're
of course.
both in the championship. So
That's correct. So a win or a tie
maybe some
sends.
collusion's going on.
Well, that's not going to happen. But so a win or a tie sends either of the, since both. Okay, win or tie sends either one of these teams to the finals. The loser has got to hope that the Rack Masters, who we saw yesterday play, they were undefeated going into the last round. They now have a loss. That puts them in 3rd place.
this.
And look at how quickly this is going.
This
Jaunts.
is really
Okay,
interesting.
there's
They
been a
open
lot
with-
going on
Yeah,
here.
they open with Coombe, and then like the other team, Thomas and Archit, they play Hatch. They have the H to go above the M, which is very unlucky for Cherish and Angela because Coombe is such a defensive opening play. But what they don't know is that the 2 boys have set up their Z above the A in Hatch. Maybe unwittingly, maybe, well, I hope they did it on purpose. I mean, it's their best play regardless. But they're going to be looking to play Zin and Za for 60 so
It's coming
so
down.
points.
There it is. They got the
Tiles.
Z in there.
Here it
Yeah.
comes.
So
Cherish and Angela just gave that to them with the N and Jaunts. I mean,
well,
how
that's
do you-
only an
how do
extra
you
point.
predict
Oh,
that?
can't-
they didn't have an A. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
How do
you
you
can't
predict
predict that. But then,
is crazy.
adding to that, Cherish and Angela played Jaunts, a very obscure word, through the C of Hatch, and I believe they had an O left over on their rack, so they set up a place that they're going to use right now to play Joe for a lot of points.
Yeah.
So both players making excellent setups in the early
They
going.
didn't even, like, they could have played Jounce. And, I mean, Jounce just, you usually want to play Jounce in that position
But
because
look,
the A is
yeah,
better than
look
the O.
how
but
many
no
extra points
way.
they're
Look
getting.
at that.
Oh,
And
this is
and
a start.
in the middle of all this, by playing toy, they kept, I believe, ERS on their rack.
Yes.
So
Excellent
that's about, if you're going to keep 4 letters, that's a
Those
good
are
way to
great
go.
ones to keep.
So
They might have preferred to keep the T. They might have wanted to keep the T, leave the T off of toy, which is an even better leave of EERST. But what amazing plays so far. Regardless, it looks very close.
They also came down nearly instantaneously. So
yeah,
they just
so it was just bam,
rapid
you
fire,
know,
yeah.
in 2 minutes we've already got both teams nearing in on 100. It's going to slow down now with a rack like that. 2 Ds,
How do you-
a few O's, 2 R's. Look at
How do you
that.
sort through that?
They've got 7 letters on their rack, but only 3 different letters on their rack.
Right.
And they're able to do about as well as they can. They play Duo and it play Toyo as
Leaving
well.
Everything just in check. The sport is already very, very condensed.
Just
And we
look how
see
nice
this in
a
the
play
lower
that is.
divisions. We see this staircase-like board, but this is a high-level staircase board, if I can say so myself.
Yeah.
Well, the EERS didn't get a
this
lot of
is-
help by picking a G,
No,
a
this
Z,
is
and a
great.
T.
This is great. Look what they can do. They can play VEG. They can overlap their previous play of toy. This looks bad on
setting
face
up
value,
a
but
huge jogs hook in the process that they have an S4 and their opponent is much less likely to have
or they could just play veggies.
for a boatload of points.
Veggies, they don't set up anything and just score how many more, 10 or 12, 14 more points and just keep the board very, very closed with no crazy jogs hook.
Now, our players they don't have microphones on, so we can't hear them. And you see the girls are doing a lot of talking. Some teams don't talk at all. Jackson was telling us yesterday they had like codes they would write down on their score sheets and stuff in order to communicate with one another. These girls, they kind of operate the old-fashioned way.
Yeah,
Wow.
Look at them.
And they clearly are mulling the play that Josh just suggested, which I definitely like it because it really
strong
puts
play. Really strong play.
Thomas and Archie in a bind if they do not have an S themselves. It's very difficult, nearly impossible to block without some kind of play off of the E of jaunts, which isn't really that easy to do, and hit that middle level triple word score. So we'll see. Either play would be a great play between veg and veggies in the same spot parallel to Toyo.
I'm surprised they look like they're considering not playing veg, but I don't know what else because they're
They got the V
whispering
in
and
the
we can't
hand.
hear them. I wonder what else they're thinking of here. If they're thinking to play veggies, that's just this phenomenal thought process going on. They might want to just. What do they think?
Would you play veggies, Josh, do you think?
I
Or
might.
veg?
I might. I mean, I might play veggies if I was more ahead, but right now they're down over 30 points, so I think they might prefer. Let's see what's going on. They might prefer to try and go for that early bingo. But
I wonder, they
maybe
picked up
maybe
different
they're
tiles.
unsure of the word veg because they've played. So when they were in Nigeria, they played a different lexicon than the one that we're using.
So they play Tech TEC. They
Interesting.
hang on to, maybe perhaps they didn't want to open up the S on jogs.
Certainly,
And if you look at this board, this is sort of a classic, we've studied words that don't have vowels board because you've got HM there, you've got CWM there, short words like JO that can be valuable, ZA that can be valuable. Even TEC is a good one to kind of cleanse the palate and change things up a little bit. So the score is 120 for the Dyslexic Manic Shop. Do we even know why they call
I
themselves that?
bet, here's my guess. I don't know this for a fact, but I bet it's an anagram of something.
Yeah, I think it's their last names and their first names. We have Thomas in there, we have Archit in there, I think.
No, and there's no R, so maybe it's, and there's no T for Thomas. Oh, the. So, well, maybe we'll ask him after the game
Yeah.
where that came from.
That's my guess.
Scrabble All-Stars, I think I figured that one out on my own. So RIBODAR.
I think,
So, yeah, I'm guessing that.
Thinking of rib in the spot we thought they were going to
Right,
play
which
veg.
is so interesting because Cherish and Angela had an opportunity to play there, making an S hook.
Well, they've
but
got
the
it
boys
now.
are playing there without one, right? They don't have an S for jobs, but let's see what Cherish and Angela
Now you
threw.
need at least a 6-letter word starting
Oh, wow.
with an S. Do
think
they,
they drew EE.
severe would get them there?
Severe would get him there, yeah, that's pretty good.
Severe would be a great
It
scoring
scores
play.
a ton, right? So we'll see if they spot it. It looks like.
No,
Yeah,
they've got
let's
the S
see.
there it comes. So instantly they go to severe.
That's great.
That's going to go all the way down to the triple letter, or triple word score rather, with that last E, and they get an additional 11, 12, 13 points for making the word jobs. So
It's a wonderful play. and
a
they
risky
saw it.
move by the
23
manic,
points.
a risky move by the Dyslexic Manic Shop, and it did not pay off. They didn't get an S, and their opponents were holding on one all along. And it looks like they're going over the score very carefully.
Yes,
and
there may have been
we know
word-
why that's the case
Yeah,
after last one.
Word may have circulated through the tournament room about the conclusion of our previous game, which we hope you caught because it was a doozy. But yeah, players may be more on guard. I also just want to note severe in the spot that it's played. We just saw the L and the VEE, those words made a great insertion for an E, and we see another one with Hatcher. Look at that. There could be a huge score.
Oh,
if
the
a
E's
player
on either
draws an
side,
E.
yeah. So
So I would love to see that go down
Oh wow, yeah, that's
for a huge score.
a
at some
levy type
point.
play if you're watching us previously.
just a 10-point game. These are the top 2 ranked teams in our championship division. The winner will move on to the finals. The loser needs a little bit of help. They need the Rackmasters to either lose or they need a spread that's just not realistic to occur.
Yeah,
where they
I think
could.
they need that loss from the
yeah,
Rackmasters.
they'd have to win by like 400 points or something, and they're good, but they're not that good. It's actually their opponents aren't going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, these teams are clearly very good to get to this point without a single loss on either of their
Well,
resumes.
imagine that. Look at this beautiful play. I was just going to mention, if they know that John's is a verb, they could play door there. Look how beautiful that play looks.
That's phenomenal.
It cements the play of Johnson Severe together. It hooks both of them. It scores so well. What a play.
That's awesome. You love to see that. Just excellent vision and foresight to think of those hooks and see a word that hits both.
And they're going to use the F. That's the good news and bad news from that play. It's a great play by the guys, but it did sort of expose that triple letter, and they jump right on it with if and of.
Sure, yeah, that looks good. They had 2 I's, so you get rid of one, and you put the nice heavy-hitting F in the triple letter score. That looks pretty good to me.
Now, the girls are still trailing by a little bit, but anything can happen on this board especially. There's not a lot of space open, so there's going to be 1 or 2 plays that just blow the board open.
It's too early to start worrying about offense, defense, anything like that, right?
Yeah, right now
The
you're just
score
trying
being,
to score.
Right, the score being so close, you're just looking. I think if
Will,
I'm
do you
in
see
there,
this play that they might have here?
oh,
that
I
they
haven't
might
looked.
see?
Let's see.
He's
Sorry,
got the
they
P
have
and the
this
E, and it
really,
looks.
really
You were looking
obscure
at that
play.
Hatcher thing. Yeah, look at that. They did it.
All right.
So very
That's-
nice
Was that the
play.
play?
No, they could have played Agape.
Oh,
and
sure.
TE,
Oh,
but
that would have been amazing.
That's such
But-
a beautiful play. On
But to
this
notice this
is
play-
amazing. Yeah, I mentioned it a couple turns ago, and they were right on it. And I honestly am tremendously impressed.
Yeah,
by
it's a tough thing to find. It's obviously once you see it, it's like of course you put an E there and it extends the word. But in addition to that, the P goes on a triple letter, so that's going to be 18 points just for the P. Grab another point for the E in either direction, and of course you get Hatcher as well. So a nice play. We just the last two plays, a total of 4 tiles hit the board, but a ton of points being exchanged in the process.
Right.
And just like that, the guys are up by 50. Now, we saw the All-Stars in their previous game down by a lot of points. I believe they were down by over 100 at one point, and they came back to win with an amazing play toward the end of the game. So they certainly are capable of overcoming just about any deficit. They're going to take their time. Not a great rack to work with. And the board, about, 90% of it's up in the upper right quadrant. So
Yeah.
things have got to open up a little bit.
I'm terribly impressed with both teams' ability to kind of wring really good scores out of this tight board, but now it's starting to appear that the only great scoring spot left would be, as Josh alluded to, if you can fit a 6-letter word down, making a vowel that pairs with the T of tech. That's the best scoring spot, and that's very difficult to hit.
Or we could put an L at the end of a Y and make oil or something like that.
That's true,
down
but
there,
it's that would pale
That's
in
tougher, yeah.
comparison to hitting the triple. And
Right.
you know what? This is as good as it's likely to get as far as a score on this play.
So grad opens things up a little bit. It does close off a little bit on that lane.
Sure.
And the duplicate letters continue for the guys.
Well, they did leave 3 A's on their last turn when they grabbed that huge score of Hatcher, so they knew they were going to have that to deal with.
And interestingly, in this sort of game, on boards where you can play PE, Hatcher, or you can play if for 28 points, you're not seeing the regular rack management that you'll see at this level of play, where everyone is keeping very, very good tiles after their plays to try and go for a bingo score. But since there are so few options on this board, the only thing that the players can really do is take their best tiles to score with and use them. So right now you can see there's 3 A's on the Dyslexic Manic Shop's rack. The GIO after grad is just not very nice. So we'll see what they do, how they sort through these racks.
Well, they are going to get rid of one of their A's by putting it in front of the G in grad. Well, that's what they were about to do.
Yeah,
They were about to do that, but we'll see what
There
happens.
they see their play there. That's the
So that is what they do. They play BAA, the sound a sheep makes, and of course, knowing that they also make the sound blat is also helpful. We learned that.
Look at this.
Okay, so very, very quickly, they play
yes.
legions. What a tough word to find. Because of the unusual spelling, you don't the I-O, and we were talking about this, I think, off camera yesterday. You got an ing in there and an s, and so when you have ings, you're sort of looking at using the suffix ing.
Yeah.
But they didn't get bogged down in that, and they make the very nice play of legions. And just like that, when they were behind, they have jumped into the lead.
As I said earlier,
This is great. This
they,
is so
they were just waiting for the opponent to open up a spot for them. Like,
And there's
who
Eugene.
knows? Like,
Eugenia.
yeah.
They see it
Who knows what they
instantly.
have?
Look at
Yeah,
that.
they've got Eugenia on the board. That's another one of those words that that if you're a Scrabble player, you just know because it's got vowels and it's got garbage letters in there that you can, if you get the opportunity to use them, particularly in a bingo, you're going to do it. And it looks as if it would hang
It's
down
gonna
from the
play
N in the legions.
alongside legions,
Yeah.
on the left side.
So they make the word EN and US, and that's exactly where they go.
there they go.
Wow.
So
Great play.
the blank comes into play. That's going to be an I. For Eugenia, I believe, is a flower.
That's correct.
This is a classic I'm a Scrabble player board. When it has HM and BAA and CWM, this has got quite a few of those words that are only used in Scrabble.
Yeah, and
Will, what do you have to say about this rack right now?
well, I'm still looking. I'm sure there are some possibilities with bingoing here. I'm just so impressed by the speed that both teams are playing and just plopping down their absolute best plays
Well,
here.
and
So
we were
now
talking
I'm gonna
about they
look and see what
played
we've
they
got.
played 2 letters and then 2 letters and then 3 letters and then 3 and then bam, bingo, bingo, one right after the other.
I see some 7s in this rack that I'll.
So if by any chance they see the word planular,
Oh well, that
the
would
A in
be
Eugenia,
incredible. I
that
would be thrilled to.
triple score.
I would
for
be
them.
thrilled to see that.
Well, you've
myself.
got to A, know it's a word,
It's
B, find it.
But
So-
we've been surprised before. These kids, if I can call them kids, they're growing up.
Okay, they are going to use the blank. That's why she reached for the scoring sheet. We learned that. And she
What
used,
could they be going for here? I wonder. We'll have to see.
I think they might be playing a nuller.
they trail by 44 points,
As Cherry, you see Cherish kind of
and they're going to
shrugging.
play, let's see,
Nullar.
Nullers.
Nullard, maybe with a D?
Nullard?
It could be an S or a D. Either way. Oh, we think it could be a Y.
Nullery.
Nullery, which is a very plausible word. Oh, I wonder.
Now, none of
if-
those are words, are they?
None of them
No,
are words.
but nullery sounds very plausible, and I wonder if Thomas and Archie will feel like, well, you know, this is an undefeated team we're going up against with great word knowledge. We're going to trust that this looks and sounds like a word, so we'll let it stay, or will we?
They're
go for the
clearly
challenge.
holding the play. That's
Yeah,
for
they're
sure. You see,
thinking.
they're not reaching. The girls are not reaching for the tile bag just yet, because the boys have said, "We might challenge this play. You've got to wait to see what we decide."
Now, nullahs is a word, Nullahs.
That's right,
So, but they've got to stick with that R. In the meantime, you get a nice look at the upcoming rack that the guys are going to have with
Very
a Q,
high
an I, an
points,
X, an
yeah.
S, a
Point
K.
value.
My goodness, A lot of good stuff
Well,
there.
they might not like this word, but it looks like they're letting it go because it gives them back a very nice spot to drop that X. So
And that goes into your thought
yeah,
process as well.
exactly.
Not only is it a word, but if you're not sure, if you're sure it's going to come off the board, pretty much going to challenge.
Sure, yeah.
If you're
Very
not
true.
sure, and
What does it give me?
it gives
Right.
you some great chances to use your letters. So where do you think that X is going to go?
Mix and XU, the currency. That would be a good score.
So
We're
And
going
they
to have to get a read on what that blank letter
Parallel
was.
Yeah,
It's
that is
very interesting,
important.
Because if it is a Y, you can put an E next to
front
the
of
Y.
it, yep.
Yes.
Make IN. If it's any other letter, it doesn't look like there's a hook available.
Yeah, you can see from the blank slip there.
Oh,
on
it is
the
a
left
Y.
Side
Yeah.
that it is a Y. You
So
can
I
see that Y circle.
right. I don't know if you can see it. There's a circle around two letters. The first one you see is an I, and we knew that from Eugenia. The second one is a Y. So they played the word nullery using the blank as a Y. That's a good find there, Will. You can kind of see when they grab that sheet, that's exactly what's going to happen there. That they circle the letter, and that's so that there's no misunderstanding. They can't later say, "Oh no, that was an S."
Look, they've got mix in two places though.
They can go mix down to nullery.
And Eugenia also with the Greek letter XI there.
Oh yes.
That's even better.
So that's so interesting. Where to place it? I guess what I would be considering in their shoes is if I'm playing the X in one of those two places, which of the other places is best for my Q, right? Because you're going to have a Q left over after either one.
And that may be
Alright.
what they did, because that A in the third slot is not so bad for a Q.
They've
Of course,
chosen the 39 pointer.
of
Oh,
course.
another
Oh,
bingo's
and another
coming.
bingo. Look at that. We don't know what it is because it went so quickly, and deprives.
wow.
So they find that nice deprives. Bingos are, I mean,
Jeez.
anytime you're using a letter in the middle of the word, even like
Oh,
deprives, it's
man.
just harder to find.
And now look at that. If the boys had played mix in the other spot,
They would have blocked it.
There's no spot
They would have blocked it.
for deprives.
You couldn't have known that. That's
No.
just one of those things that you kick yourself after the game, knowing full well that there was nothing you could have done to predict that.
So
They're gonna
bingo,
have a
bingo,
nice
bingo. It's
comeback, even though they have
Look at
really
them.
awful looking tiles. Bingo, yeah,
What they would
two
do for a
bingos-
vowel right
three
now,
bingos
huh?
in a row now for
What-
3 in a row. That is incredible.
So they're clearly with 7 consonants and the A of Eugenia staring them right in the face. That is the obvious best place to dump as many consonants as they can through that spot, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. I
It
do
looks like
see.
they just play kitty, right?
Oh, they're going to play Kitty, or
Yeah.
they.
I mean, they should, right? Through the I in Eugenia. That scores a bunch.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That
Yeah,
looks
because the
pretty good.
Y will hit the triple. So
Yeah. That. So
you
either
get rid of the
vowels-
K, you get rid of the Y, and behind by 57 points, can't really worry
Yeah, that
about
looks
opening
great.
things up too much.
Sure.
Think of where we were just, I don't know, 5-6 turns ago. We're looking at the board. Wow, they were able to squeeze points out by putting 2 letters down. Now it's bingo fest.
Yeah, it was just that combination of grad and then ba that Thomas and Archie made parallel to grad, and then all hell just broke
Yeah,
loose.
we
and
went from
legions,
legion-
Eugenia, nullery, deprives. It just
And mix was not such a low-scoring play
No,
either. So,
yeah, totally.
yeah, that's why you see the score where it is. This is not 398 to 341. That's not uncommon as a final score. That's actually a pretty high final score
Great
for a lot of games,
There's a
and
lot
we're
of
only
games.
about halfway through here.
maybe
A little bit, maybe a
three-quarters.
little bit more, but the guys have they're stuck without a vowel. It makes it very difficult.
Yeah, I like Josh's suggestion of Kitty.
They could
They
play
spot
a weird 4-letter
Yeah, I
word,
was saying
kayak.
kayak. Yeah,
Kayak.
that was going to be my suggestion, but
What would that mean? It is a monetary unit, as
Another
as
one.
one could have predicted.
Another one.
So if you're looking at Thomas and Archie's rack, that's 7 consonants. That's a lot. But from their perspective, the unseen letters that Cherish and Angela can have consist of massively more vowels than consonants.
So they're gonna get
they
a-
are
right.
They can very reasonably expect
And let's see what
many
they have.
vowels to come.
Now
from
they
that.
there you
now
go.
they played stay with the Y hitting a double. They burned the S, but they did get a lot of points for doing it by extending it to a triple word.
True.
There's some incredible sorcery going on right now. If for some reason you put the T in between DE and Hatcher, that forms a real word. Can you believe
D.
D.
Thatcher?
Thatcher is a real word?
Oh my god.
I just had to check that.
That, and then I guess you could put TWO or something like
You
that.
mu- like you, mu- I don't,
TWA.
I mean,
That's
I guess
incredible.
Dethatch is a word.
Yeah, D. Thatch, I know. I would never, ever have guessed
Anyways,
that D. Thatcher
Nobody
was a word.
in like any universe would see that.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe
save
one or
maybe
two
one or two people in the whole world.
in the world would see that play.
I hope
and
they
I hope
play
some
it.
of them
I
are
hope they play it
playing
just
right
to say,
now.
"Heh,
Nah,
yeah, one or two people in the
It's
world.
like, oh,
we
we got
are
away with
school
nullery."
Scrabble champs."
Oh my goodness. Thatcher.
Incredible. But what should they do here? They're clinging to a lead. They should, obviously, preventing bingos is a very important objective, but fortunately for them, the board is not very good for putting bingos down. I just wonder.
At some point, you run out of letters and spaces.
That's
They've-
true,
they've-
yeah.
it's been bingo, bingo, bingo.
But in their shoes, they have to be envisioning the worst case scenario. What are the ways I can what are the ways we can lose this game?
Right.
And one of those ways would be a very fortunate 7-letter bingo underneath deprives. So they may opt to play something on top of deprives as a parallel play that cuts off those possibilities.
They've got to get rid of eyes. I mean, 3 eyes.
That-
2 eyes is
exactly.
usually often
A
one too
word-
many. 3 eyes is definitely one too
A
many.
word that that's so interesting.
You see
so
inlet?
They have inlet. I believe they just they put an I in there. I wonder if they'll
Inlet?
That doesn't really.
I think Cherish corrected Angela there. Maybe
Okay,
Angela
good.
thought inlet, that would be the word.
That would
there,
be a
but-
much better play if it were allowable, but it is not in the dictionary, and a
This
mistake
game
like
is
that.
almost over. I mean, time has just flown.
Oh, that's the bingo effect, right?
But,
Yeah, you eat up letters and.
There are only 6 tiles left.
Oh my
in this
goodness!
bag.
Oh
There-
wow! It
there's-
looks so open, but it's not. So there are 6 letters. So
So
I
if
don't
they
think
play
they would trade
inlet-
anyway. They can't trade them back at this point.
No, but if they play inlet, they leave 1 in the bag, which is for many an ideal scenario. It doesn't give your opponents much to do. They have to maybe, if they're going for a bingo, they have to play off 1 letter.
Yeah, they can't go
And then
for a
you
bingo.
know exactly what they have.
And opening leaving 1 letter in the bag also means you're going to have 1 chance. Even if they bingo, you're going to have a chance to do something else, as opposed to emptying the bag, at which point your opponent can end the game with using all their tiles.
The downside of playing inlet, we just spoke about the upside of why it's good for Cherish and Angela to try and leave only 1 tile left for Thomas and Archie. But the downside from their point of view of the play of inlet would be, what if they draw 4 vowels or 5 vowels or something? Then they get into trouble with potentially being outscored by a Q play or some
That's
series of big scoring
The
plays.
Q is still out there,
So they
as
have
is
to
as
weigh
is the
that.
K. So you've got a situation where
Yeah, which we know they
You've-
have the K
right.
and the Q, both.
and Cherish and Angela they got to most likely have 1, maybe both. Now those are high scoring tiles; they're more difficult to use. But with just a 24-point lead, being able to play the Q just about anywhere is going to bite into that.
Right. It looks like inlet is likely to come down. I would have been potentially interested to see them play the obscure 4-letter word of inti, I-N-T-I, using up 2 of
2
their
eyes,
eyes
yeah.
and keeping that precious consonant.
Well,
They
they're
may
taking their
yet get
time.
there. Yeah, they may yet
They know
get
they
there.
have a lot of time left. There aren't that many tiles left. They have almost half of their time remaining. This is a
So
very
many
key
things, so many things go into the thought process here. The letters you have, the letters that your opponent likely has, the letters that are in the bag. I think there's still 1 U remaining, is there not?
There is.
There is. So they don't have it. They don't have the Q. You almost have to play as if your opponent has the Q and the U. So
Here
be
comes
careful.
the move.
Now, if they play
this
tile,
This is
This is a
exactly the
great
sort
move.
of move that we were looking for, right,
It's a
Josh?
great move because you keep your consonant, and if you do draw the Q, you now have 2 spots for it. 1 QI above deprives, and then the QIs they just set up for themselves. This is a very high level move. I really like this move.
Well, as it turns out, the cube belongs to the Dyslexic Manic Shop, who trails by 36 points. They can get 30 just by putting the Q
Yeah,
above the
something
U,
just
above
like
the QU above the I, and
quit.
quit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like quit seems like.
Now, if you play quit, you're back in the game. You score a lot of points, but look what you're stuck with.
Well,
F,
you
W,
are,
O, K,
it is
difficult.
clunky. There's no doubt that F, W, O, K are very clunky letters, but at the same time,
And you get two more.
they score a lot of
They
points.
do, if you can get rid of
So,
them.
If you're scoring 33 with quit on this move, and then somehow able to threaten more similar scoring plays while Cherish and Angela have to deal with only 1 point letters, then there's a pathway for you to potentially get
look
back.
at the scores. I mean, quit will bring them very, very close.
We're gonna have
And
both teams
look
over
at- but
400.
Just look at these scores. They're both gonna have 400 points after this play. The game's not even over yet. They have the whole end game to score with.
And plenty of time too for both.
This is high level Scrabble.
And they're taking their time.
You should.
Now, let me ask you this, just because you've got a team concept, which is a little different, and now the players are kind of pointing. When you're playing Scrabble and your opponent is like pointing at a part of the board or looking at a part of the board, does that go into how do you try and read their mind that way?
It's definitely something that I feel like I would like to do more, is kind of analyze my opponent's behavior. Everybody is different. I feel like it's almost a requirement among really, really good Scrabble players that you just be very even-keeled and not show a lot of that outward emotion that's easy to read, much like a good poker player or a player of any other skill game, I assume. But it's definitely something that you can use to your advantage in some situations.
And then there's bluffing, of course.
Well,
I'm going to stare right at this part of the board because I don't want them to look at the other part.
I've done that before. I don't know if
Does
it
it work?
actually works. I can't say. I don't know. It's
Because then you get double thinking. Well, if he's looking there, he's really concerned about over here.
Yes.
You know what? I might call this game already. If they play quit, they save walk and ink on the top side of the board.
Oh.
And that's 30 more points. That's
Yeah.
like 35, 2 turns in a row. That's a bingo score.
And that's up in the upper left. And we
what
just
can Angela and Cherish do about that? They're going to be slightly ahead, but
there's
they're
nothing they
gonna
can do
have
to block it.
They can either try to block it and just get stuck with all sorts of vowels and 1 point
This is
tiles.
so interesting.
This is a really,
All right.
really
So the bag is now empty,
close
meaning
ending.
that they each know what the other
And two
team
nice
has.
vowels
So they
came
grabbed
out.
an E and an O, which could help them out. But let's take a look at what the All-Stars have with just a 3-point lead, little more than 10 minutes on the clock, all single-point letters, and just the one consonant N they have twice.
Yeah, that's going to be really difficult to score with for them. You would have loved to see an E for the play that Josh mentioned earlier, the hook to yen, where you see the blank Y of nullery. That would have been a nice play. IN to get at least access to
Well,
triple. They cannot do that.
And if they see in the upper left, which is a part of the board we sort of ignored for a while, Josh was pointing out the K can go at the end of IN, and they can make the word walk going vertically. That's going to score enough points to put them well ahead. The only way they can they didn't. Okay, so the way they could have blocked it by making the word INN.
They're playing very quickly here.
But
which
instead,
is,
they're going to play Anna. They're just going to try and get as many points as they can with their single point letters.
Interesting.
Now he's
So
got walk.
interesting,
Now,
yeah.
if they see this, this is probably going to give them the game.
I think they had it aligned for the longest time. I think they were just choosing between playing walk first and quit afterwards. And this is not looking good for Angela. And for
Well, they've got
Cherish.
They
they've
have
got a
the lead
20,
now,
22 point lead. If they were to find the play of walk, that's going to score what, 32
34,
points,
I think.
34 points. So it's not going to be over, but with just the single point tiles on your rack, it makes it very difficult.
Yeah, so the combination of walk and leaving EFO on their rack, even if they don't have a place to play the 3-letter word foe, they will have the ability to play the last E to hook quit with quite that as well. That's going to be another great way for Thomas and Archie to score a bunch of points in one move. So
And looking ahead, if they could play faux after
Two
tile
spots. They
under
have
the
two
Ian
spots
tile,
for
yeah.
foe. This
Oh,
is,
okay, so
if
they're
they play
going
walk,
out.
I cannot see a way for them to lose the
wow,
game.
wow.
And now if they don't see the walk up in the corner, the W now can live under the E.
That's
So
true.
that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, they could play woke there. They could play woof. They can play all sorts of things, and those all seem to be just enough to win this game. But let's just see what happens.
We've seen it in a couple of games where it's been important to remember things for later. You may not have a play now, you may not have a play 2, 3, 4, 5 turns, because I completely forgot about the upper left part of the board,
Yeah.
figuring that was dead. But it's very much open if they see it.
And you know what? I think it's just going to have come down to the previous play of Anna. I think the girls really needed to look a bit harder that turn. They needed to try and go out before their opponents, and it looks like with their I-O,
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to do that.
They had
and
to
they're
play
just
it
going to
high.
fall under tempo. But yeah, I really can't see a way that these guys are going to blow it here. But
Well, you never
we'll
know.
see.
They've got to find they've got to know what the play is, and then they've got to find the play. So it's a difficult task. And as you pointed out, at face value, these letters just don't look very promising. The W and the K and the F with the
But
couple of
those
O's,
high
but they
numbers on them are going to
are
be
just what they need.
delivers them this game. Yeah,
Just
if
what they need.
Can see the series of plays that we've pointed out with walk.
now
and foe.
it looks as if they're checking, they're tracking.
they're both doing it.
So they want to make sure,
they're doubling
100%
down.
sure, exactly what letters their opponent has. And it's a good thing to do. The guys are under 5 minutes now, still plenty of time, and they want to make sure that in whatever play they make, they don't open up an opportunity for the girls to go out, because short of I guess, Wolf would be to eliminate the most points on your rack, or Woke, I guess.
And you know what?
They've gotta find a way to do
I just
it.
have the results in, and the Rack Masters, who are in third place, they have won their game. So whoever loses this game is out.
Out
So
of finals contention.
the Rack Masters will take on the winner of this game for the 2019 championship, and the result of this game is still up in the air. Depending, well, they haven't played a play. It's still they're still behind. Until
There
they
have been
play, they're
more-
behind.
Yeah, there's been more surprising things happen, but it looks like they're in strong position right now.
If they do choose to play faux first, for example, that might not work out for them.
Yeah, it could be, if they play faux first, it gives the All-Stars a chance to block the very large ink and walk play that
By putting an N at the end of in, is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
they can place an N in that spot and block the very big play.
Right.
So we'll see. Obviously, we haven't really been mentioning this, but for both players, you just did mention that the winner of this game goes to the finals, and we're not really talking about that as being part of their thought process.
They don't
They're
know.
picking their
Yeah.
plays, but
Well, they know that
they know that
yeah,
the
they know.
winner is in.
Well, and what that really does mean, and it's not relevant at this point in the game anyway, is you don't worry about spread. Win and you're in, and that's all that matters.
Sure.
Look at oh, you just missed Thomas. He's really, very intensely talking to Archie. He's like, I think this is gonna win. I think
Yeah.
we have to play this plan. It looks like it's walk. It really does.
Under 3 minutes on the clock. Now, we mentioned
So
the
you're gonna
clock.
start a wrap there.
The
Under 3
girls-
minutes on the clock.
The girls are using all this time as well, and it's not counting against their clock. They have 9 minutes remaining. So the end game here could take quite some time. The wheels are turning in all 4 of their heads. Oh, and look, he's pointing
they've
to different
seen
parts
both-
of the board.
They've seen
They've
both
seen it.
foes,
Okay,
and
so
that's
they
seen
found
it
walk.
for
That is
them.
the
Very
play that they
nice.
needed. The K is sitting on a double word score, meaning that it's going to get a total of 20 points just by that. And you can sort of see the dejection in the girls' faces, because
Yeah.
that's going to put the guys in the lead. And with just 4 one-point tiles, overcoming, at this point, a 12-point lead is going to be difficult. Now, he pointed out, he kind of gave us the indication that they know they could play the word foe in 2 places, so they're going to have the chance to go out. Do you think about playing a phony here and take a shot? Because it's
Absolutely.
You do.
although
yes.
they're gonna it's one of those free challenge situations.
What would it even be? I don't even know.
Why-no-yo.
This would be this if they still. I'm just musing here that maybe here, if they had a T, they would try D Thatcher and something crazy, right? Not that much would fit there, but that would be fun to see them try, because then it puts the other team in a situation where if they were to challenge
Right.
it, thinking this word is nonsense,
So don't
and
go
it's
out.
good,
Yeah.
that would have been amazing.
So
But of course
that
it's all,
no, but that's a
not the
level
real-
that's a level of strategy that's interesting here, which is to, if you're gonna phony,
Do
don't
it.
don't do it with all 4 letters, because that just hands them an opportunity to challenge for free.
Ooh,
If you
good
challenge,
point.
if you phony with 3 letters for a lot of points and a plausible word, then they got to think.
Maybe something with, I don't know. Maybe just.
I'm not seeing
It's hard to
something
do,
with, like
yeah.
I mix or omix.
It's
or
hard to do
something.
with single point tiles.
Yeah, if you were to play omix and.
It has to be, it has to be more plausible than that.
Yeah,
Will.
it can't. I totally know. I'm just musing that there's no real great place to do something
Techio?
like
No,
that.
when Techoi, Tech-T-C-O-I.
Yeah, Techoi. I have no idea.
I mean, they're going to have to score 30 points with their phony for it to even matter.
If it doesn't go out,
'Cause
for
foe,
sure. Yeah.
I mean, foe under the E in tile, it scores 17 points. It'll bring them
Too much.
458.
Too much. Yeah.
And where's the other place they can go?
They can
8.
play with 8.
the center of
AT,
the board
grad,
down.
tech. And that should do it. But they're going to take their time, make sure they're not missing anything, make sure they've tracked the tiles correctly, and slowly but surely try and figure out a way to win in this virtually, technically unwinnable endgame.
Which is amazing, just to look back at this game and remember that Angela and Cherish did something that is just unbelievable for any Scrabble player at any level. They bingoed 3
3 in a
turns
row.
in a row in this game, and it looks like that's not going to be enough to
All
win the
right.
game.
They're going to play Vino. Now, those words are good.
Yeah.
The TI, the musical note, it gets them some points, but unfortunately leaves a tile on their rack without even taking a second. Thomas
Boy,
has the tiles in his
Yeah,
hand.
look at the
Big
smiles.
grins for them
Look at the
as they play the
smiles.
word foe
Just
and
spell
go
it
out.
right. Just
So
spell it right.
what a game. What a contest between the top 2 ranked teams in the division heading in, and a really tough loss for the All-Stars, Angela and Cherish. They're going to finish in 3rd place in our tournament, and it's good news for Thomas and Archit. They will face the Rack Masters, the defending champions, in the finals. So the finals are set. What a game. An amazing run that the All-Stars had. They were undefeated heading into this game. They're going to sign the score sheets, wrap it up,
Yeah,
and
sweet.
wow,
Look at this,
a
900
900-point game, scoring
Incredible.
440 points and losing. That has got to be tough to do.
Heartbreaking for Cherish and Angela, but
That
I
is
don't-
high for any level of Scrabble.
Yeah.
440-point loss.
We
That should be a
clearly have
win.
not seen the last of this team. They've played great on the stream both times we've seen them. So tremendous performance, and really,
I believe that, and they're 12 years old.
yeah,
just 12 years old.
Yeah, they'll be back.
So they've got some school Scrabble left, a championship
Many
level
times,
left in them, and then they'll move on to the high school level. And I'm sure we're going to see them in years to come. So the finals in the championship division are set. It will be the Dyslexic Manic Shop with their undefeated record going up against the 1-loss Rack Masters, our defending champions. We will see that contest in after our next one. Our next one is going to be the final regular round of the high school division. Don't know where things stand there, and goodness knows with the tie in our last game, anything can happen
Yeah,
in
it's
that
a total
division.
log jam at the top there.
So-
right now, I can see
Yep.
it right here. Actually, Jem Birch is ahead. He's the only person with only 1 loss.
That was heading into that last round. That was the case. Is this his last round?
Yeah, he's won, and other games are still in progress. But Charles Lee has also won his game against Chloe Fatsis, which
That's interesting.
Spells the end for her,
Well,
unfortunately.
but Charles was coming into the day was in about 8th or 9th place. So to vault yourself into second for an opportunity to make the finals, he's done a nice job. We'll take a look at the standings for both divisions in a moment when we can wrap things up. But stay with us. We've got 3 games left. We have the final regular round that's going to help determine what the finals are of the high school division. Then we will see the Rack Masters against the Dyslexic Manic Shop. And I hope Jackson asks them
Yeah, I think
why
we
they're
got
called.
Jackson ready to talk to them about that. Let's see what they say.
So we'll see. That contest will be after the high school final regular round, and then we will have the high school championship for you. So we've already seen 2 incredible games today, amazing games with amazing shifts in position, and it's a safe bet to say we're going to see some great Scrabble play in our next 3 as well. This is why we're here, day 2 of the 2019 School Scrabble Championships, part of the Hasbro Gaming Championships, and it's getting good. It's getting good as we're ready to go. Jackson's setting up outside to talk to our winning team, and we're going to go out there in a second. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you guys, because you've been in this position, when you know you've made the finals, you're in, what's the mindset before? What do you do before? Anything special, anything different? Go back over your games?
Try not to think about it too much. You know, it can get into your head. The nerves of it can be overwhelming, but basically just trying to do as many of the same things that got you to that point as usual. Don't try and reinvent the wheel, and really just try to stay calm. So here we have our winners here, or our first finalists.
All right.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. This is Jackson here, and I'm with the new finalists of the 2019 North American Scrabble Championship. These are the Dyslexic Manic Shop team. And could you each go around, introduce yourself, say what grade you're in and where you're from?
Hello, I'm Archit. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm from Tampa, Florida.
Hi, I'm Thomas. I'm in 8th grade as well, and I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Nice to meet you both, and congratulations. That was an amazing game, 460 to 440. Maybe the highest score we've seen on stream so far. Definitely the highest combined, 900 points total. So I want to talk about the game, and I want to talk firstly actually about your name, the Dyslexic Manic Shop. Where does it come from? How did you decide that?
So the Dyslexic Manic Shop is kind of like, the dyslexic is a word play. It's over anagramming. So we like to anagram, and so we anagrammed Manic Shop into champions, which is also on the back of our shirts. So it's kind of just a neat word play that we used for our team name.
So the balloons on the front that we're holding, the shirt design is supposed to say that when we let go on the back of our shirts, the balloons are up and they spell champions.
Hopefully we can get some actual balloons in the finals, and then if you guys win, we'll let them go. And I mean, I don't think it's very likely that they'll actually form the word champions, but it's definitely possible. So we want to talk about the game. Thrilling game, especially because at the beginning it was so closed. And then there was one pivotal play that seemed to open the board, and then after that it was just bingo, bingo, and scoring play after scoring play. And that play, I want to go to the board for a second. You can stand up. That play was BAA. And it seemed like you guys are about to play GAE. With GAE right here instead, but then you hesitated and played Ba. Can you explain why you played Ba instead of GAE?
It was a better leave because we didn't want to leave 2 A's on a rack, and the B isn't that great of a tile. So A and GE was a pretty good leave, and we liked it a lot better rather than BAAE.
That seems like sound logic, and I think it worked out well because it ended up transforming into a bingo with Eugenia, which was a great find. And Eugenia is not a common word. I actually didn't know that it was a flower. I didn't know the definition. And it seems like something that comes from studying, and I assume that's correct. And can you explain to me what your study methods are and how you've prepared learning words for this tournament?
So both of us use the study program Ziziva. So I mainly focused on shorter words, power tiles, 4s and 5s, while Thomas focused on bingos.
So as Archer was saying, he did the 4s, 5s, vowel dumps, consonant dumps, and the power tiles, and I focused more on the bingo words with 7s and 8s, and I studied as far as I could with both of those probability.
I mean, that seems like great preparation. It seemed to pay off with Eugenia as well. The other thing that we're all impressed with in the commentary booth is how well you guys found these parallel plays that fit very tightly on this board, especially PE making Thatcher. So when you played Hatch and then the R came down, were you immediately aware that the E could go there?
Not immediately, but later on, as the plays progressed, we did come to a realization that, wait, Hatcher is good, so we should find some sort of play there. And when the P came, then it was just good that we could find that play.
I see. And I mean, it ended up getting you a lot of points, and I think that really set the stage for getting that early lead so that your eventual bingos put you even farther ahead. So then one of the bingos your opponents had, the Scrabble All-Stars, was nullery, which is in fact not a word. And I mean, it's a very tough call, you know, when you have a word that comes down, you're not sure of it. How did you end up making the decision to not challenge the word?
So we thought that if we did end up challenging it, there were so many lanes opened on the board, with the A on Eugenia having that triple open, as well as nullery opening up 2 different triples, which could both be scored for many points. So our thought process was we play mix with nullery and score about 40 points, and then after we could play on one of the other 2 triples.
And I mean, the decision ended up working out, and obviously you never know. During the game, it's very easy to have 20/20 hindsight vision after the game that you know nullery is not a word, but ultimately it worked out, which is very good. Another play that caught our eye was Hatch, your first play of the game, Hatch. It seems like a very solid play, but there was one very interesting aspect of that concerning the Z. It was that it actually set up your Z right above the A in Hatch for a 60-point play, which you ended up getting the next turn. Was this something you were aware of when you played the word Hatch, or was it just a play to score a bunch of points?
So, again, it was kind of something that we realized later. We knew we had the Z, and it was almost immediately after we played it, we realized that we had this spot. And once we drew the I, we knew that when they played down the lane that we could hit Zin, and that got us the points.
Yeah, like Archie was saying, like we found it, but we also did have the idea that we could play on top of Hatch on top of Hatch with the Z that we had. But it was also our highest scoring play on that rack, and that we could find because Kum didn't really leave a lot of opportunities with no vowels.
And yeah, that's exactly it. I'm sure your opponents were very dismayed when they realized you had the H, because a play of CWM to start the game usually limits your options completely, but the H was very good for scoring well on that turn. So going to the finals, I believe this is both of your first experience in the finals. What are you going to do to prepare? You have about a couple hours remaining. How are you handling the stress?
So we know we have to be relaxed. It's going to be a very important game, and we know we have to be prepared and look at each individual aspect of the types of words. So we'll be looking at different fives, bingos, and things like that that can help us be prepared.
Yeah, like Archie was saying, we'll just keep reviewing on the things that we're studying, the 7s, 8s, and the shorter words with the 4s and 5s.
I really wish both of you the best of luck. It looks like you're playing the Rack Masters from like Noah Slatkoff and Jeffrey Pogue in the finals. That will take place in a couple hours, but first we have one more game with the last round of the high school division to determine who makes the finals in that division. So I want to wish you both the best of luck in the finals, and I know this is your last opportunity, but I'm sure you can stay calm and make the best play every turn. We're going to go back to the commentary booth, and they will take it from there.
All right, we are back and going to take a little bit of a break. Going to set things up for our next high school round. We're looking at the standings there. We're not sure what the pairings are going to be right now. Jem Birch leads the pack. He has just one loss. It was the game we saw, and Leo has dropped into 3rd place. Charles is now in 2nd place. We'll see how the pairings come up and try and get you the best game available to share with you. After that, we're going to have the finals of the championship division. We'll see the team we just saw take on the defending champions. So that's going to be a good one as well. And we'll wrap up our day with the high school final and then the awards ceremony. So please don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back shortly.